Hey guys, welcome to Medifaction. Today we will learn about some important spotters from our neural system, and we will also gain some knowledge about those particular spotters. Let us begin. Spotter number 1 is the cerebellum. The location of the cerebellum is at the posterior cranial fossa. It possesses some functional areas known as the cerebrocerebellum, the spinocerebellum, and the vestibulocerebellum. The parts of the cerebellum are two cerebellar hemispheres and a vermis. Morphological lobes of cerebellum. Number 1 is archicerebellum. Number 2 is paleocerebellum. Number 3 is neocerebellum. Functions of cerebellum. The first function of the cerebellum is coordination of voluntary movements. Most movements are composed of a number of different muscle groups acting together in a temporally coordinated fashion. One major function of the cerebellum is to coordinate the timing and force of these different muscle groups to produce fluid limb or body movements. Damage to cerebellum can lead to number 1, loss of coordination of motor movements known as asynergia. Number 2, the inability to judge distance and when to stop known as dysmetria. Number 3, the inability to perform rapid alternating movements also known as adidacokinesia. Number 4, moment tremors also known as intention tremor. Number 5, staggering wide-based walking called as ataxic gait. Spotter number 2, the median longitudinal fissure. The median longitudinal fissure divides the cerebrum into two halves. Its content include falx cerebri, inferior sagittal sinus, anterior cerebral artery, indicium gracium. The inner surface of the two hemispheres are convoluted by gyri and sulci, just as in the outer surface of the brain. Spotter number 3, the spinal cord. Extent of spinal cord. Upper border of C1 vertebra to lower border of L1 vertebra in adults and in the lower border of L3 in children is the extent of spinal cord. Coverings of spinal cord. Meninges, dura mater, arachnoid mater, and pia mater. Blood supply of spinal cord. Anterior splenic artery, posterior splenic artery, and also segmental arteries. Venous drainage. Anterior medial spinal vein, anterior lateral spinal vein, posteromedian and posterolateral spinal veins. Spotter number 4 is the olive. The olive is an oval prominence on the surface of the medulla oblongata in the brain. There are two olives corresponding to the olivary bodies, one on each side of the medulla oblongata. Structure lies deep to it are inferior olivary nucleus. Spotter number 5, the corpus callosum. Parts of the corpus callosum are a rostrum, a genu, and a trunk or body. Fiber coming out are commissural fibers. The corpus callosum is a large C-shaped, as you can see here, nerve fiber bundle found beneath the cerebral cortex. It stretches across the midline of the brain, connecting the left and right cerebral hemispheres. It makes up the largest collection of white matter tissue found in the brain. Spotter number 6 is anterior cerebellar notch, and spotter number 7 is right here, posterior cerebellar notch. Relation to the anterior cerebellar notch is the pons and medulla. And relations of posterior cerebellar notch is pons cerebelli. Spotter number 8. The cerebrum. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It is located superiorly and anteriorly in relation to the brainstem. It consists of two cerebral hemispheres on left and right, separated by the falx cerebri of the dura mater. Cerebral hemispheres are separated by each other median longitudinal fissures. Cerebral hemisphere is divided into four lobes, namely frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. The main sulci are central sulcus. It's a groove separating the frontal and parietal lobe. The next sulcus is lateral sulcus, which is a groove separating the frontal and parietal lobes from the temporal lobe. The third sulcus is the lunate sulcus, which is a groove located in the occipital cortex. Blood supply. Number 1 is anterior cerebral arteries, branches of internal carotid arteries supplying the anteromedial aspect of the cerebrum. The next blood supply is contributed by middle cerebral arteries, which is a continuation of internal carotid arteries supplying most of the lateral portions of the cerebrum. Third one is posterior cerebral arteries, which are branches of the basilar arteries supplying both the medial and lateral sides of the cerebrum posteriorly. Ninth spot is basilar artery. The branches of the basilar arteries are number 1 anterior interior cerebellar branch. Number 2 is superior cerebellar branch. Number 3 is internal auditory branch. Fourth branch is pontine branch. And the fifth one is posteromedial branch. The 10th spot is the Corda equina. The term Corda equina is derived from the Latin meaning horsetail. It is a bundle of spinal nerves and spinal nerve rootlets consisting of the second through the fifth lumbar nerve pairs, the first through fifth sacral nerve pairs, and the coccygeal nerve, all of which are arising from the lumbar enlargement and the conus medullaris of the spinal cord. This is an easy representation. L2 to L5 nerves, S1 to S5 nerves, and coccygeal nerves. These nerves send and receive messages to and from the lower limbs and pelvic organs. Hope you have understood the video. Like, subscribe, and press the bell button for more videos. Thank you. Thanks for watching.